On the 8th of September 2022, the Queen of the United Kingdom Elizabeth II passed away at the age of 96, 70 of which she spent on the throne, which makes her the longest reigning monarch in the history of the UK. During her reign, she had given audiences to 15 different British prime ministers from Winston Churchill to Liz Truss. The Queen called the dismantling of the British Empire, witnessed the rapid technological breakthrough, economical crisis, military expansion, and conquest of space. With her, the United Kingdom entered the European Union, and Brexit also occurred during her reign. She witnessed the death of her husband, Prince Philip, whose lifetime was just a year shorter than a century. Together with Lilibet, as she was affectionately called since she was a child, an entire era has really gone, and the reign is far from the only thing she will be remembered for. During the reign, the United Kingdom maintained a huge influence on the world's politics through finance, intelligence, and advanced technologies. England became a trendsetter in music, cinematography, fashion, and literature. Everyone, without any exception, sang the songs of the Queen and the Beatles, wanted to drive either Mini Cooper or Range Rover, and of course, to be like James Bond, like any of them. The City of London still remains the status of the world's main financial center during the reign of Elizabeth II, and I remind it lasted 70 years. Britain has not lost its financial power. The Queen of the UK is a brand. According to the analysts of the leading brand valuation consultancy Brand Finance, the main value of the royal family is not all the material component, but the brand called the Queen. And this image is what Elizabeth II has worked for tirelessly from the moment of the coronation. The Queen approached the selection of attire thoroughly that drew people's attention and created a certain image. Thus, when hearing the name of Her Majesty, the Queen, many people immediately imagined her coats and costumes of different colors, as well as elegant headdresses. She personally preferred to wear the same clothes, creating looks that she loved so much. Of course, she had a personal wardrobe assistant, Angela Kelly, whose direct duty was updating clothes and accessories. Despite age and status, the Queen was a gin lover. The Sandringham celebration gin was made at her estate, Sandringham House, a private estate of the Windsor dynasty located in Norfolk in the middle of 20,000 acres of hunting grounds. The price per one bottle is £50. The Queen is a symbol of the UK. For many of us, the Queen, monarchy, and castles is like a beautiful picture, plunging us into the Middle Ages period and its post-living in the present. It attracts tourists, and the income from tourism is one of the main sources of financing of the British economy. £48 billion are coming from tourism, with almost 1.5 million of workers involved in the industry. Attracting so many tourists would hardly be possible without the personal brand of the Queen. The Queen is a symbol of the UK, but many people mistakenly assume that she runs everything at the same time. Watch TV series like The Game of Thrones, The Lost Kingdom, or Vikings Valhalla, and you will see that every royals had many advisors. Do you think that something has changed? Great Britain has always been ruled by monarchs, together with Privy Council, most of whose members remain unknown to us. Just as the US is not run by a president, the UK wasn't run by the Queen or a prime minister either. Monarchs have always played a more significant role here, but yet the light has always been behind them. Among other members, it includes countless relatives, such as first, second, third, and even fourth cousins. Some families could merge their power through marriage alliances, expanding their sphere of influence. But I got distracted. Elizabeth II was the leader by the number of years of reign. And as befits a good brand, she was the leader concerning participation in films. Hence, not a surprise that she is known and loved around the world, and there isn't so many people eager to visit the UK and see Buckingham Palace and the changing of the guard. By the way, we've done a special video about the palace. Elizabeth II appeared in the documentary about herself, A Portrait in Parts. Participated in short films, for instance, had a tea party with Paddington teddy bear, a symbol of English literature for kids. Also, the Queen took part in numerous shootings where she just played herself. Royal Family, The Queen by Stephen Fries, My Way to Olympia, and in mini TV series called Queen of the World. Her image was even used in a cartoon called The Queen's Corgi. And now name me just one world leader who has ever acted in films. Popularization of the royal family did its job. Tourists from around the world came to Great Britain hoping, among other things, to see the Queen once. Going on an excursion to Buckingham Palace, tourists paid attention to the roof of the palace where the royal standard is installed. It meant that the Queen is in the residence. If there was an ordinary flag of the country, it meant that the Queen was absent. Where could she be if not in Buckingham Palace? Well, it could be Windsor Castle, another royal residence owned by company that occupies Royal Palace's estate. By the way, to this moment, the Crown owns about 24 castles and palaces on the territory of the UK, and now add lands to palaces and castles. And all these are administered by the Crown Estate. All the royal property is estimated at $18 billion. An interesting fact, a monarch doesn't own it alone as you may think. It would be more correct to say that this property passes to the monarch where he is on the throne. But anyway, it's run by the Crown Estate. Last year, the company's net profit from administration of the property amounted to $360 million. What interest did Elizabeth II have? Well, for example, she was interested in a matter not so popular among females, cars. She was the only person in the country who could drive a car without a driving license. In fact, she didn't even need a passport. Yeah, that's true. Despite the fact that, according to the royal protocol, a monarch must have a personal driver, driving really became a passion for Elizabeth II. Back in the days of World War II, the future ruler started to be a mechanic driver of an ambulance, but Brits often saw her driving a Jaguar and Range Rover at that time. The Queen's car collection is estimated at £10 million. Her Majesty loved to spend time gambling on horse races. Over the last 30 years, she has managed to earn more than £6 million from this. Sports bets! The Queen was known for her love of animals. She had special feelings towards the Corgi dog breed. She got the first puppy when she wasn't even 10 years old. The puppy got pretty interesting name, Dookie, an alteration of his full name, Duke. Yeah, the dog is also royal. Shortly thereafter, Duke got a female friend, the corgi named Jane, but unfortunately did not succeed in a romantic relationship with Duke, so it sought its fortune with another dog. And I must mention that sadly the fate of both dogs was not happy. And only when Lilibet turned 18, her parents presented her another corgi named Susan. And it was this dog that laid the foundation for a real corgi dynasty. In April 2018, Susan's lost offspring, a corgi named Willow, died. Also, the Queen of the UK legally owned all swans and dolphins on the territory of the country. Fidelity in marriage and loyalty to the throne. In April 2021, Prince Philip, the husband of the Queen Elizabeth, passed away at the age of 99. They were a couple that had been together for more than 7 decades. They met for the first time at the wedding of a Philip's cousin. At that time, Lilibet was just 8 years old and Philip was 13. By the way, Elizabeth and her husband are distant relatives. They are both great-great-grandchildren of Queen Victoria. Nevertheless, it's not uncommon for royal families. But official acquaintance of the future spouses occurred during a visit of Elizabeth's family to Royal Naval College in Dartmouth, where the prince was a cadet. Back then, he was 18 and Elizabeth was 13. According to the governess of Elizabeth, the pupil didn't take her eyes off the young handsome throughout the day. On the contrary, Philip didn't show any signs of attention. However, it started the correspondence between the two, and for the next several years they maintained warm communication. And when Elizabeth turned 17, it became obvious that the relationships took a more serious turn. But it's worth noting that a few people considered Philip a worthy candidate for Lilibet. Financial status of the potential fiancé was not too bright, which could be said about his family's reputation. Let's get back to what I told you earlier. Families merged together for the sake of expanding influence and increasing wealth. Greece King Constantine I, the uncle of Philip, was expelled from the country with his family. Parents of Philip got divorced, his father was having affairs abroad, and his mother ended up in a psychiatric clinic. Education of Philip in England was paid by friends and relatives of the prince's family. However, However, when Philip proposed, Elizabeth's parents didn't mind. The only condition which came from the father was that the engagement would be announced in a year, when Elizabeth would turn 21. Elizabeth ascended to the throne at the age of 25 when her dad passed away in February of 1952. And all this time Prince Philip was around. Elizabeth II said that without her husband she wouldn't be able to reign for so many years. Prince Philip supported her not only in matters regarding family but also in relation to work. After the death of her husband, Elizabeth said the following words: "He has quite simply been my strength and stay all these years, and I and his whole family and these and many other countries owe him a debt greater than he would ever claim." From the moment Elizabeth ascended the throne, her life changed drastically. She had a lot of new duties. But despite her young age, she coped with her tasks excellently. During her reign, the British Queen missed only 3 sessions of the Parliament, the first 2 because of pregnancy and the last in 2022 due to feeling unwell. Humor and easiness. Some British couples sent the Queen a wedding invitation just for fun. She also decided to joke and came to the wedding. Elizabeth and Prince Philip congratulated newlyweds personally, called their names, asked about their plans on honeymoon, and basically talked with them as they were good acquaintances. Guests were shocked and the couple considered this visit as the best possible wedding present. Also, the legendary selfie is still circulating on the internet showing 2 female hockey players from the 2014 Commonwealth Games in Scotland with the Queen smiling at the camera in the background. There was another occasion her bodyguard told the world about. Instead of a hat so common for the Queen, she wore a headscarf that day and was walking around the hills next to Scottish Castle. 2 American tourists came up to her. They knew that Balmoral Castle belonged to the Queen, but they couldn't recognize the Queen wearing a headscarf. They asked if she was local and if she'd ever seen the Queen. She answered, "Me? No, my companion's seen her though," pointing at her bodyguard. Brits loved her beauty, easiness, closeness to people, elegance, and modernity. The Queen has all this, and this is how she will probably be remembered: kind, with her own unique style and sense of humor. By the way, if you ask any Brit about the Queen, everyone will speak fondly of her. After the death of the Queen, her son Prince Charles inherited the throne, and it's worth noting that his official title in Russian is not Charles III, but Karl III. It's caused by the peculiarities of name translation. In Russia, a tradition has remained to give Christian versions of names to foreign rulers. This tradition dates back to the 16th century. Charles III became the oldest British monarch at the age of 73. He has been waiting for the crown longer than any other heir to the throne in British history. Well, he had plenty of time to prepare. Needless to say, it will be difficult to match Elizabeth's ability to find balance between tradition and innovations. Nevertheless, the new king has a real opportunity to become the defender of the nation's interests. This is an important moment in the history of the crown, and all eyes are now on King Charles III. See you in the next videos!